Number 1.
A Louisville family is making a plea for your help. 4 years ago, their mother went missing. Some clues pointed to foul play, but no arrests were ever made, and the case went cold. They won't give up hope for Patricia Hubbard, but admit it's a slim chance that she's still alive. They tell us it's hard to accept her death when a body was never found. She was a church-going woman who lived right across the street from me, recalled Sam Wedding. Wedding is talking about his mom Patricia Hubbard, a woman who loved taking care of her yard, her neighborhood and speaking out to help others in the community. Wedding told us she was tied to Toys for Tots and she made the bike run annually and donated toys. His mom's giving nature is what motivates Wedding to keep asking questions about her disappearance. We've had no leads on where she might be, or anything like that, he said. From the beginning February of 2008, friends and family knew the then 48-year-old mom would not leave her South Louisville home or leave her loved ones in the dark. They told us back then, Hubbard always called to say where she was and when she would be home. LMPD investigators had a lot of questions about Hubbard's strange disappearance. There was a history of domestic violence with husband Bradley Hubbard. A year before she vanished, she took out an emergency protective order on him. At the time she went missing, police told reporters Mr. Hubbard was the last person to see her alive, and all things pointed to Mr. Hubbard. But months after the mother's disappearance, Bradley Hubbard was found dead of an overdose. Wedding says moving on is all but impossible with no answers about what happened, no body and no graveyard to visit. It's kind of hard to give up, unless we've got something that's actually physical, saying she's no longer with us. Wedding continued, without a doubt, there's somebody that knows something. He told us, the whole situation is just sad, we have no closure, and we don't have the ability to say, this is what happened. Again, the family is certain someone in the area knows what happened to their mom. They ask anyone with information to call the anonymous police tip line 574 LMPD to provide them some peace and Patricia Hubbard a proper goodbye.
Number 2.
Hughes was last seen in Bowling Green, Kentucky in early July 2017. Her own car was in the shop for repairs, and she borrowed her mother's car that day. 2 men were with her when she picked it up. Over the next few days, Hughes' mother tried to call her several times. On July 8, Hughes returned her call and said she would return the car as soon as possible. She also said she was trying to get her boyfriend, Pugh Beltran, to leave her house, but couldn't talk about it. Just after midnight on July 9, Hughes' mother heard a car in her driveway. She looked out the window and saw that her car had been returned. On the afternoon of July 11, Hughes' father and her adult son went to her home to check on her, as her parents hadn't been able to get in touch with her. All the lights were off, but the television was on. Hughes' keys were in the living room, and her dogs had been left alone, which is uncharacteristic of her. Her bedroom door was locked from the inside, but her father and her son were able to force it open. There were no indications of a struggle. There has been no indication of Hughes' whereabouts since then, and Beltran has not been seen since July 8. The last person to see him was his ex-wife. He told her he needed to get out of town because he had no work. Hughes has never gone missing before. The circumstances of her and Beltran's disappearances are unclear.
Number 3.
The exact date that Alice disappeared is currently up for debate, but it happened in July of 1975. Alice lived on the Fort Campbell military base with her husband and 2 children at the time of her disappearance. Her husband, Lee Andrew Jefferson, was a soldier assigned to Fort Campbell. He was not the father of Alice's children. The children remembered going to school as normal, but their mother did not pick them up as planned. Instead, the children walked home, but found the door locked. They banged on the door for a very long time before Mr. Jefferson unlocked the door and let them in. He appeared to be agitated and sweaty. He told the children he had been sleeping. Mr. Jefferson would not allow the children to enter their bedroom. Their mother's car was still in the driveway, and her clothing and other possessions were still in the residence undisturbed. Alice was never seen again. A few days after Alice's children last saw their mother, Mr. Jefferson packed some bags and drove the children to their grandparents' residence in North Little Rock, Arkansas. He never returned. Mr. Jefferson claims he contacted authorities and filed a missing persons report, but no such evidence of this has been found. Alice's parents and other family members tried contacting authorities in several states and even the Red Cross, but each refused to help, citing jurisdictional issues. A proper missing persons report and investigation didn't begin until 2013, almost 40 years later. Alice's children believe Mr. Jefferson killed their mother. Foul play is suspected in Alice's disappearance. If you knew Alice and have proof of your relationship, feel free to contact the Echo's Path admin on social media or via email. Her page will be updated with more information if sources are provided. Please contact the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division, 270-798-7113, if you saw or heard something around the time Alice disappeared. More information is desperately needed to solve this case, and any information you can provide to authorities would be very helpful.
Number 4.
Roarks was last seen in Horse Branch, Kentucky on June 4, 2013. She went out to get cigarettes and cold drinks. She did arrive at the store, 4 miles from home, and its security cameras filmed her buying drinks and then driving away in the direction of home, but she never made it home and has never been heard from again. The white 2000 Dodge Caravan Roarks was driving was later found abandoned 80 miles away from Roarks's residence, at the 109-mile marker off Interstate 65 in Bullitt County, Kentucky. Her family can't think of a reason why she would have driven there, and the van's seat was pushed all the way back, indicating that whoever drove the vehicle last was taller than Roarks. The van's windows were rolled down, and her purse was inside it, but her wallet was gone. The ignition key was broken and was found in 2 pieces in different parts of the van. Roarks left behind 4 children, and her family describes her as a devoted parent who wouldn't have abandoned them. She hasn't used her credit cards since her disappearance. Her case remains unsolved.
Number 5.
Kid was last seen on August 6, 1990 when she left her home in Rowan County, Kentucky. At the time of her disappearance, she had just cashed a $56,000 check, the proceeds from the sale of her farm. The bank wanted to give her a cashier's check, but Kid insisted they gave her the money in cash. She disappeared afterwards. Kid's last contact was by letter, postmarked in Lexington, Kentucky 17 days after she disappeared. The letter instructed her loved ones not to try to locate her. It is unclear whether she wrote the letter of her own volition, however. She has never been heard from again. She took her clothes and a filing cabinet with her when she vanished, but left behind all her other belongings. Kid's granddaughter stated Kid had a secret boyfriend in 1990. The man would not speak to any members of Kid's family on the telephone and did not want his identity to be known by her relatives, friends or members of her church. Kid told her loved ones they already knew her boyfriend, and they would be surprised to discover his identity. She frequently took telephone calls from the man and went on dates with him. He has never been identified. Since Kid's disappearance, her Social Security benefits have not been collected, there has been no activity on her Social Security number, and her driver's license has not been renewed. Her children and grandchildren believe she met with foul play. Her husband died in 1983, 7 years prior to her disappearance. Her disappearance remains unsolved.
Number 6.
The Warren County Sheriff's Department is again investigating a nearly 12-year-old missing person case in hopes of giving a local family some closure. New information came into the department regarding the disappearance of Ronald Kinser, who disappeared after an automobile accident December 23, 1993, said Detective Tim Osbrooks. The nature of the new information cannot be disclosed, he said. The day after Kinser's disappearance, search dogs were called, and a helicopter was used to try to locate him. Nothing ever turned up, Osbrooks said. Osbrooks has received an age progression picture of what Kinser may look like today from a Kentucky State Police forensic artist. He was 25 when he disappeared. If he's alive, this picture will find him, Osbrooks said. We're starting locally, And we're going to send the picture out nationwide. We're hoping America's Most Wanted will run it. Kinser disappeared after being involved in a single car accident at the end of his father's driveway on Cumberland Trace Road, Osbrooks said. Kinser was pulled from the vehicle by a motorist who witnessed the accident, according to the original Sheriff's Department report. The guy who helped said as soon as Kinser learned the law was being called he took off running. We don't know why, Osbrooks said. When we got there he was gone. He hasn't been heard from or seen since. When Kinser disappeared, he didn't have a wallet and had less than $5. I took over this case about 3 weeks ago, and based on a lot of things about the incident, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, he said. The circumstances surrounding it don't make any sense. It's been hard, and instead of getting easier, it gets harder every year, said Pam Massey, Kinser's mother and a deputy with the Sheriff's Department. It's always particularly hard this time of year, and particularly on one of his sisters. The two were very close, Massey said. When Kinser was discovered missing, Massey was not able to join in the search. She was transporting a prisoner and could not be reached, she said. I didn't get to join in until after a few days. By then, the family knew the disappearance was something serious, Massey said. It wasn't just him waiting for Daddy to cool down because he wrecked Grandma's car. The calls and rumors regarding Kinser's possible whereabouts have made the situation more difficult. One gentleman in Edmonson County called and nearly broke my heart, Massey said. He said he had seen the picture and had picked Ronnie up hitchhiking. He was hungry, and the man said he had given him some money for food. But there's never been anything concrete, it's just been rumor and innuendo, she said. The family began to doubt Kinser's return after the death of his grandmother, Massey said. He adored his grandmother, and when he didn't show up for the funeral or send anything, we all determined at that point he had to be dead, she said. I just don't think after all those events he was incapable of creating a whole new identity. We check his social security number every so often with the FBI, and it's never been used since the day he disappeared. Knowing what happened to him would provide some relief to the family. Even if he was deceased, we would have somewhere to go and know he's there, she said. If he was finally found and brought home, it would be such a relief. It would be a gift from God. Osbrooks is hopeful new technology could help close the case. We sent DNA from the mother to Frankfurt to be entered into a DNA database, Osbrooks said. The family needs a little peace of mind. I'm trying to put an end to this for them. Somebody out there knows what happened to this man.